Yeehaw! It's time for the Texans Squad, sponsored by Gametime. Everything Houston Texans, every week. Bringing you the big hits, game-changing plays, and all the action straight from the Lone Star State. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Saddle up and squad up. It's the Texans Squad Show, starting now.
And the full squad's back together on a Tuesday. The Squad Show. That's John Hickman, Stan Norfleet below me, Iisha Morrison down in the other corner. I am Michael Connor. Thank you for joining us if you're live here on a Tuesday night for the Texans Squad Show, or if you're watching later on, and of course listening on the Locked On Texans audio feed, wherever you get your podcast, where you can also find John with his daily Locked On Texans podcast, which you should always be listening to, making it your first listen. We got a lot to get into because guess what, people? We've been saying it every single week when we start this show. Training camp's almost here. Training camp's almost here. Well, guess what happens this week? Training camp is here. Football is happening. And the Houston Texans are getting back out on the field here very soon. And it's just a sight for sore eyes. And you know what the best part of it is? There's no drama here compared to – I mean, sure, there's drama. But compared to some of the other drama going on in the NFL –
like Dallas.
There's nothing
all
else.
Right.
I wasn't even going to just say that. Cincinnati's a hot mess. Washington's a hot mess.
Washington with Scary Terry out there trying to get his money. Well deserved.
The NFC East is just, they got it all going on, right?
Hey, John.
And we don't have that mess down here in Houston. All we're worried about is the team going to be good enough on the offensive side of the football? But I wanted to lead off the show tonight with the question for all of us is, what do we need to see out of the Texans in training camp as we get underway here at NRG Park? John, you want to lead us off?
I do, man, and I want to lead us off with a special comment from Dwight Batrow. He said, tell Stan to be positive today, even if it's fake. I'll take it. So, Stan, the listeners have made their request. I don't know if you're going to accept or deny that request, but I think what the –
Does that sound like me?
No.
We want you to be you.
Oh, God.
Go ahead, John.
I think, man, we have to see cohesiveness across the offensive line, man. Across the offensive side of the ball in general, you know, one thing that I'm really looking forward to is the right tackle battle. I think Cam Robinson is going to essentially wrap that up over at left tackle, but I would not be surprised, as Aaron Wilson reported on Monday afternoon, the medicals are out. The medicals are positive. And I'll probably get into another one with Christian Harris. He's positive. Trent Brown has a positive outlook right now. So, essentially, I'm looking at Trent Brown versus Blake Fisher and Titus Howard. Houston has one less week this year compared to 2024. They started a week earlier because of the Hall of Fame game. So, I'm looking for them to come out running on the ground with cohesiveness, but real competition at their right tackle spot position, because – that was a problem for them all last year, specifically just the right side altogether. And with those guys not having names that are for sure dogs, like they're good football players, but for sure starters, like if you put them across the league, they'll start on another team. They don't have that. Competition is important. Getting it right is important. So I'm ready to see how that side of the ball looks, whether it's better coaching, whether it's technique, of just edging those guys out over another guy in the competition room, just coming out on fire and having a good competition at the right side.
Iisha?
Well, he said all the good stuff, but I think more than anything, I'm looking for this young receiver room and some of these receivers. We're really looking to see who's going to, take the mantle on the other side of Nico Collins. Obviously, I think that's going to be important to what you want to do. Understandably, you want to be able to run the ball, but baby, if you can't, I hope you got some other options. So for me, I'm looking at a Jalen Noel and Jaden Higgins and those guys, Christian Kirk, how he's meshing in, and also too the quarterback. Really looking at the quarterback and how comfortable the quarterback looks. We got to see him a little bit in minicamp. He looked like he was settled in, but I want to see how he also has control over the offense. They've been talking about that all season. Let's see how much they about to give him. Even though I understand it's an install period and things are going to be slower and all that stuff. How comfortable does he look taking over this new scheme, and how is he directing and leading out there? It's probably my two main things I'm looking for. What you got, Stan?
I just want to add that Noel had missed some time during minicamp with a hamstring. It sounds like that hamstring is on pace, is healing, and he is on pace to be able to contribute from camp. Trent Brown is a full go. This according to my brother Aaron Wilson over there at KPRC2. And, he's certainly in the know about what's going on. Sounds like we'll get into some other injuries, but Joe Mixon is out of the walking boot, has been for a couple weeks. They're going to slowly add him and ramp him up. The same for Danico Archery that had a procedure as well, or is recovering. Let me not say a procedure. He's recovering from being banged up, a knee for him. So there's about 10 guys or so names that we'll be looking for. Everybody may not go out there tomorrow when they take the field at 9 a.m. Some guys are going to ramp up a little bit slower than others, Christian Harris, so on and so forth. But in terms of what I'm going to be looking for camp, outside of the obvious, getting out of this thing healthy. Outside of that, and every team in the league is most certainly praying for that. For me, and then the second one, the obvious, is the offensive line that John pontificated about. This is going to be a really big year for CJ Stroud. And I think in our conversations, we have, like many people do when discussing the Texans, you just take that for granted. We just say, CJ's a badass, he'll be fine, everything will be fine. Well, the goal this time last year, and Iisha, I know you weren't in the city, doing this piece. We were talking about Super Bowl. The players were talking about Super Bowl. That word, those terms have not been thrown around this year.
Good.
And I disagree, MC. With D'Amico,
I'm just saying, don't say it. Don't say it out loud. That's all.
I disagree. When D'Amico addresses that team in the auditorium tonight, or whether it was this afternoon, hell, it could be going on right now. When he starts going over what's going to be the battle cry for the year outside of Swarm, and you start coming up with your policies and procedures from the year, part of that should be we're trying to get to Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, California, where D'Amico used to coach, and compete representing the AFC in the Super Bowl, period. If that's not the goal, then what the hell are we doing here?
Oh, no, that's the goal. I'm just saying it out loud to the media.
No, you don't got to say it to the media.
I hate the headline. The Cowboy, who said it for the Cowboys already? Or he's out there.
Somebody said
like,
it. I forget who it was.
Just don't say those things. Why you say
I'm
those
sure they
things?
didn't say it.
Who said what?
Somebody from the Cowboys was talking about the Super Bowl. I forget who it was.
There's a lineman. I don't remember who it was.
Yeah.
Oh, Tyler Smith. It was Tyler Smith. He's very even keeled though. He ain't saying. He's just saying it because it's what you're supposed to be working toward. You know what I'm saying? Like he ain't like. All right, never mind this.
CJ Stroud. Some people say he regressed in 23. The bottom line
24.
is in 24. The bottom line is what CJ has done in 23, remarkable considering where the franchise was. The expectations contained in the 24 took a step back. CJ, need to see your game go to the next level, my boy. You got to figure it out. And there are a lot of different ways to do it. Lastly, for me, some people will say how this team is built, right? Like Drew Brees didn't have a ton of weapons, although there was 3 All-Pros and 7 Pro Bowlers on that 2009 team. It was the number 1 offense in the NFL. When Burrow took that Bengals team, which had holes and was limited in 2021 to the Super Bowl, Burrow was excellent, and that offense was number 9. I need to see CJ Stroud have this offense get outside of the average category. They need to be in the very good category. Long-winded way of saying CJ Stroud.
We mentioned offensive lot, in terms of what we're looking for. We got to. The offense has the most question marks on his team, but with Christian Harris coming back, I am interested to see how Houston uses Harris, Henry T, Aziz, and EJ Speed, who was added in the offseason. Ideally for me, Harris would be someone that could create a relief of snaps for older vet Aziz Al-Shire. I think Henry T did a very good job in 2024, cleaning up on his rookie mistakes, becoming a better linebacker at the NFL level. But with Harris back, he is the dynamic linebacker that everybody loves. D'Amico Ryans hasn't given up on him, rightfully so. The talent is there. The sideline speed is there. His ability to read and react is there. So I'm very interested to see Now that he's healthy, what does that linebacker room look like moving forward for week 1? Do we see Azeez push down the pecking order a little bit? Do we see Henry T push down the pecking order a little bit? Or is it just an even kill of snaps played and shared between the 4 to get the most out of that defense? They can cause a lot of different pressure and create confusion with those guys in that room.
I think go ahead, Stan.
I'm sorry. I said I'm digress, and I understand everything that John is saying. I think what's interesting about that linebacking core, I think when they go to the sub packages and it's just 2 linebackers in the nickel, even when they go to the dime, if Christian Harris can't go, or let's just say he can go, I think EJ Speed and Christian Harris go on the field. I think Azeez and Henry T come off. I think you could see 2 different linebacking cores given the offensive potency of the opposition from a matchup standpoint.
Is that based on what coverage ability to you and
For sure.
What else?
Henry can't cover, and that's not Azeez's stronger point. Christian Harris can cover, and EJ Speed is a better athlete, I think, than Azeez and Henry.
I have just a little pushback. I know we got to move forward. I think in 2024, Henry T finished that season a better coverage linebacker than EJ Speed did.
Then why is Speed here?
Depth.
EJ Speed started in Indianapolis.
Yeah, and that's the interesting part about the competition, because I just can't give EJ Speed the nod over Henry T.
He's a better player.
We will see, but in terms of dropping back in coverage in 2024, I think that Henry T was a better player.
Now Henry's game, absolutely. In terms of if there was a Texan most improved from 23 to 24, Henry T would probably get the nod for the Texans. He was excellent given where he came in and what he was, and then what he turned himself into.
Yeah.
I'm a Henry To'oTo'o fan because, well, in my house, you've got to love Alabama players. So go Henry To'oTo'o and go John Mechie. Is that it? Is that all I got? And of course, go D'Amico Ryans. I can't believe you guys.
Christian Harris.
Oh yeah, Christian Harris too. Yeah, go Christian Harris. Go all of them. I can't believe you guys are sitting here going through this entire segment and not
Cam Robinson.
I know that Iisha mentioned it a moment ago, but I mean, look, what I'm looking forward to the most is getting all my highlights of Jaden Higgins going out there and making one-handed grabs in the end zone.
You're
doing his thing.
No, but you know what? I get it. I mean,
have fun.
let us enjoy getting football back. Dang, fans be not in pass.
Have they started?
I'm like, God.
Have they started selling Jaden Higgins jerseys yet? Serious question. Y'all are going to go out there at camp. Find out if they're selling them for me.
A lot of teams are starting to sell like the rookie ones that people have been waiting for. If they're not in the shops and stuff, they're selling them at camp. Like, starting it off,
I might need y'all to pick me up a Jaden Higgins jersey.
I have to, for me, it's the guy that's throwing Higgins the ball. CJ wanted more control.
Got it.
It's his 3rd year in the league. He's playing for big boy money. CJ, it should sound
reportedly $60 million.
I'm kidnapping the segment. Sorry. I was in Dallas when Romo was running the show, and you could tell on the practice field Romo was running the show. I was in Carolina in 2014, 2015 when Cam Newton was en route to a Super Bowl appearance, and he was the MVP of the league. You knew it was Cam Newton's team, and it sounded like it on the practice field. I need to see and hear CJ tell everybody by his performance, by his habits, and sometimes by verbal communication. The expectation is to be better, and we have to move it forward. I need to see the leadership intangibles as well.
Absolutely. You know what? Can we continue this conversation when we come back? Because I do want to build off of that a little bit more.
We're going to talk about that, and we'll mix in another question about camp and the preseason that we have, as well as we continue here on the Locked On Texans Squad Show. Right now, though, I need to tell you guys about Rugiet. You've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Ready. Rugiet Ready is a next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rugiet's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast on average in 15 minutes. Effects can last up to 36 hours, so you can stay confident and in control when the moment is right. If traditional options haven't worked, Rugiet might be the answer. Over 150,000 men are already making that switch. Head to Rugiet.com/LockedOnNFL and use code LockedOnNFL to get 15% off today. That's Rugiet.com/LockedOnNFL and use promo code LockedOnNFL for 15% off. Texan Squad show on a Tuesday. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. We're all back together. The three of you did a great job. I did listen to it the next day on Friday without me. I was a little hurt that you weren't without me, but, things happen. We are now together, and we have football to go to. I was looking up, by the way, as we're sitting here talking a minute ago. I don't see a Jaden Higgins jersey on their website just yet, so I'm going to get one. For this show's purpose,
just like
I'm
Rugiet
going
is
to
coming.
get one. Yeah. All right. We're gonna. John, what did you want to continue for the last segment? Because now you just threw me off.
I just wanted to. That's just a good way to promote, the company.
True.
But Stan, man, I 100% agree with you, and I just want to piggyback off your statement about what are you looking for from C.J. Stroud. There's no way they made that decision to move on from Bobby Sloak without C.J. Stroud being in the know, being in the circle. And I would even go as far as to say, just speak with him about that move and decision altogether before it was made and during the entire offensive coordinator search. So CJ being in that circle, to kind of say, let's move on, and also signing off on the new offensive coordinator, that should come with the expectation that now, since your hand was involved in this part of the process, we absolutely need your hands to be involved in this part of the process. In this part of the process right now, we were in that phase of getting the offense together from a quarterback perspective. All of the greats. I've heard guys talk about Tom Brady when Josh McDaniels went to Denver, or just when offensive coordinators leave. The guys look towards the quarterback because the quarterback has all of the knowledge and knows how the thing is supposed to run. And he's supposed to be that, especially the better quarterbacks in the NFL, he's supposed to be that leader on and off the field. And so when we look at C.J. Stroud and what are we looking for, I think the world of C.J. Stroud, I think more of him as a person than a football player, which isn't a bad thing. But for year 3, though it is a critical year for you to go into without having a consistent play caller, this will be a new play caller, you will have to rally the troops. This is something that all of the great quarterbacks in NFL history has had to go through, and now it's your turn to carry that mantle. I'm ready to see if he'll be able to do it or not, and I think he will. We just got to see it.
Now, with what you're saying there, John, I think it's a great way to transition a little bit into our next topic of who's under the most pressure this camp in preseason, and could it possibly be C.J. Stroud for all those things that you've listed there?
Yeah, I think so. He's one of them because he's a quarterback, but he's going to have the most pressure each and every year. Yeah. Are we looking at it from a player perspective or just strictly?
I take any of your answers. It could be Cal McNair for flipping burgers over there. He might be under the most pressure to keep him on the grill and not let him hit the ground before serving him.
If these young boys at this wide receiver position don't show up in January, not that they're going to cut them, but I'm just acknowledging if it doesn't hit and Christian Kirk is sidelined for a significant amount of time, or Nico, I sincerely hope that doesn't happen. But if they go into another playoff game and they don't have an adequate amount of firepower to have a fighting chance, the man is going to be under pressure in the last year of his contract or going into the last year of his contract, and I could be off by a year or two with that. We're going to have to talk about Nick Caserio and what's going on with your offensive draft. Nick Caserio, this team goes one and done again in the postseason. We're going to have to go, why aren't they advancing when you have opportunities? You hit on the quarterback. You hit with Will Anderson Jr., Stingley, also some of these others. You hit with that. But what's going on with this postseason offensive weaponry, though?
Yeah, Caserio's contract should be up after next season, based off.
Oh, it's tied with D'Amico. I think they put them on the same link. I think that's right.
Yeah, that's why I would say that there's pressure, personally.
You said that's the most for you, Iisha?
No, that's why I would say that I think that there's pressure there for Nick Caserio. I just think this is a big year, obviously, for the offense. I mean, you don't get a defense that's constructed in this way. They don't last forever. Guys the Texans have been able to slip some guys that are key pieces and stuff, but when you win, guys get other contracts. It's just what happens. So keeping this core of guys together and trying to attack that, I think there is pressure on the offense to rise to the occasion and to meet the defense where they are. But also, too, I do think there's oddly pressure on the defense because what if the offense can't rumble? What if the offense is not to the level that you need it to be for them to capitalize off your turnovers, for them to capitalize over good field position, for you to put them in position to score, and even with the defense limiting, the other team's efficiency and things like that, you have to reward each side of the ball. So I do think that there is some pressure. Maybe it could be depending on because the defense go out there and they're gonna see what's up. They're gonna know very quickly, hey man, these guys can't run most people can't run the ball on the Texans. But I'm saying these guys can't move the ball at all. We gonna have to turn it up. We're gonna have to limit people to very few points a game if we have to. So maybe the defense will feel some pressure to take the mantle of having to do it again, of being the key contributors to what you want to do as a team right now, as the offense kind of gets into a rhythm.
Definitely. Yeah, how long is the leash for Nick Caley? Is he under any pressure?
No.
From no pressure. Okay,
no.
just
Nick
wanted to ask
because he's with a stink bomb. The Texans could be in the bottom third in offense in the league, and D'Amico, because now he's already fired his homeboy, a legitimate friend of his, to bring Nick Caley here. He then can't turn around the very next year and then get rid of Nick Caley. Nick Caley is Cadillacing right now, full job security for this year, going into next year.
Now, who I will say has pressure on him, sorry, MC, I do have to put some pressure, just a little bit, actually a little bit more than a little bit. Not on Caley, on Cole Popovich. Simply because he was in that room last season, and I believe it was Juice Scruggs, maybe it was Jared Patterson, but one of the two was on Texans radio recently and mentioned, towards the end of the year, they changed up how they went about running the ball and protecting CJ, but more so running the ball in terms of gap scheme compared to zone. And they felt more comfortable and felt like, there was a better output. Joe Mixon ran for nearly 200 yards in the 2 playoff games combined. So obviously that's a positive. Dameon Pierce went crazy in their last game of the year. Obviously that's a positive. So at what point during that last part of the season did Cole Popovich's voice become stronger than Chris Charleston? Can he build off of that? We don't know. We wasn't in there, but I do think that because he's returning, though he has been promoted to the offensive line coach altogether, not an assistant. He has pressure to get the best out of this unit. They trusted him a lot to not move on from him. So I am looking for what his tutelage of their line can bring to this team.
I want to throw one out there for myself, and I'm going to the player side of things. I know that we've talked about him before, but what would you guys say to my thought of, I think player-wise, maybe some of the most pressure is Dalton Schultz because of the contract, because of last year being such a year that was just so down. And you got some guys coming back. One of the guys that's got a positive outlook, as Aaron Wilson put it, it's Brevin Jordan with the health and everything I guess is looking good for all these guys. But you got him, you got Cade Stover, and we know that this is going to be an offense that they need a reliable tight end out there, consistently. This guy's making $11 million a year. I think the pressure is massive on him in this camp.
I mean, I don't know if it's pressure, but when you look at the center position, I mean, I think we all felt like Jared Patterson is capable of playing center, correct?
He should be the starter.
And he's the backup right now. And if I was Jake Andrews, I think I would be paying attention to the fact that that's just a legitimate competition, which is weird that it's backwards, but you can't just go out there and not play for real. You got somebody behind you that people feel is starter capable. That's not the case in a lot of positions. So
that's why Cole Popovich has pressure on him. I mean, not only does he have to coach these guys up, but he got to rework some bad tendencies, which, coming out of OTAs, there was some positive reports, but they didn't have no pads on, so I can't take it too seriously. But also, they got his boy running mate, running first team with center Jake Andrews, and he just got here. He only got one career game
One
start in the last 2 years. Okay, how do you feel about that? 2023, and then also, making those tough decisions. Stan, you feel like it should be Jared Patterson. Some people may like Juice Scruggs back at center, maybe at the guard position. But I'm saying when you look at the different combinations, the Houston Texans can put out there, there's not a whole lot of confidence in Blake Fisher out there. So Cole Popovich is over all of that. Of course, he's going to work hand in hand with Nick Caley, but the best five, what does that final five look like? That's pressure on him to get there right. Then there's also pressure for him to get those guys ready for week one and what the offense is going to ask of him. So he has a lot of pressure on him.
What the heck? I'm asking because I'm humble enough to say that I'm a bit of an outsider coming in. Blake Fisher, John, you watched his college tape?
Notre Dame, yeah.
Is this a he's picked up some bad tendencies with different philosophies, or is this a technique issue that he's still working that he hasn't figured out yet? Stan, can you attest to it? Because I was impressed with Blake Fisher's tape. It was consistent in college.
It was good tape. Obviously, they traded up in the second round to take him, so it was good tape, especially at a place like Notre Dame that pumps out offensive linemen with regularity. Given he was on the opposite side of first round to Joe Alt. The hand placement can be an issue at times. Quite frankly, and John, I don't know that John and I talked about this. I'll be curious to hear what he has to say. Look, Blake Fisher, his body was not an NFL body last year. He was getting overpowered at the point of attack, and I'm not talking about in the run game. He was getting run over when the boys screaming off the edge. So he had to build up his body, drop some body fat, gain some mass and some girth to be able to anchor against those people screaming off the edge, and certainly in the run game. And that's really where I shift the pressure. And Cole Popovich is a good call by you, John. The pressure for me is not just in getting the best five. It's not just getting in the best five to protect. This team has told us with what they've done in the offseason, holding on to Dameon Pierce when there were trade offers for him last year and not moving on in the offseason, the drafting of Woody Marks in the 4th round, and the signing of Nick Chubb, giving him an opportunity to come here when there were other people that wanted him to come run the ball for them that were willing to pay more. This run game must get fixed, and you can't count on Joe Mixon to be out there all 17 weeks, nor should he. So I'm looking more so than CJ dropping back 40 times. I don't think that's the formula. They better get this run game fixed because the Texans hadn't better be in the top third in the league, and they hadn't been there in a little bit.
Yeah. No, I think Blake Fisher just wasn't ready. He has a lot of talent. I don't know if he's 100% ready for this season. Again, the competition will be great. A healthy and motivated Trent Brown, based off of what we've seen, is the better right tackle. Maybe Houston feels more comfortable with inserting Juice Scruggs or somebody else at right guard and maybe pushing Titus back over to right tackle because that just works the best. I'm not sure, but there isn't a whole lot of confidence right now in Blake Fisher going into week one of the regular season that he is for sure starting right tackle. And that's why
he is a right tackle.
He is a right tackle. But on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you for him to be the starter?
He's played on both sides for Houston. I don't think he's a swing tackle. He started right tackle for 2 years in Notre Dame. I think he is a right tackle. Ariante Ursary, this year's second round pick, he's a left tackle. I think they got to get out of this. We're going to move some guys around. Plug some dudes in. Titus has proven that he can be versatile. Drew Scruggs, to me, is a center. Now, that's why I keep asking. We could very easily, and I'll toss this back to y'all on this. Peep this. We could very easily go into week one. Drew Scruggs was drafted in 23 to be as a second round to be a center. He could be on the bench. Blake Fisher was drafted last year in the second round, moved up to get both. He could be on the bench. Ariante Ursary, your second round pick this year, you moved up in the second, or you didn't move up. Oh yeah, you did move up. Move back up to go get him in the second round. They could have 3 second round picks in the last 3 consecutive drafts sitting on the bench, not in the starting 5 to open this season. That alarms me.
It is not a good thing. I'll just say that.
No.
It's gonna be interesting camp to see what happens.
To get all 3.
Yeah, that's not what you want either. So yeah, there's some pressure there for Nick Caserio if none of these guys do pan out. Let's talk about. There's been another ranking put out, and the Texans are where are they? Do we agree with it? That's next here on the Locked On Texans Squad Show. This is an ad for BetterHelp. Workplace stress is at an all-time high. 61% of the global workforce is reporting higher than normal stress levels. This summer is the perfect time to take small steps to focus on your wellness and manage your challenges that come with your workday. Of course, most of us can't just quit our jobs or take endless vacation, but we can start small, whether it's getting outside for a few minutes, adding movement into your day, or talking to somebody who can help you navigate life's challenges. That's where BetterHelp comes in. Look, you got a busy schedule. Here's the good news. With BetterHelp, the flexibility of online therapy makes it easy to fit sessions into your busy schedule, no matter where you are. It's going to make a big difference. Therapy can help you set healthier boundaries at work so stress doesn't spill over to the rest of your life. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Unwind from work with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at BetterHelp.com/lockedon. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon. Squad Show Tuesday. Michael Connor, John Hickman, Stan Norfleet, and Iisha Morrison with you as we are finally at the point where guys will be on the field doing football things, and it is oh so exciting. Coming up in the next segment, we're going to discuss some early bubble players who we have there to wrap up the show tonight. But before we get there, we had the discussion recently about ESPN and the rankings from executives and everything on the position player, the quarterback position where CJ Stroud fell. Well, ESPN's got up the ranking for the best rosters in the NFL. And I'm just going to run through them real quick until I get to the Texans, and then you guys can fire away with if you agree or disagree. Baltimore is number 1, followed by Philadelphia, then Detroit. At number 4 is Buffalo, 5 Kansas City, 6 Denver, 7 Washington, 8 the Rams, 9 the Bengals, 10 the 49ers, 11 the Vikings, 12 the Buccaneers, 13 the Houston Texans. I look at the list and I go, I question a few of those teams that are ahead of them. I don't think by a lot, but they're thinking middle of the pack of the entire league for the Houston Texans. Do we agree with a ranking of 13th in terms of roster, top to bottom?
I think 13 is fair, man.
Think it's fair, John?
I think it's fair. You got it, but I think the defense is giving them a boost. You got an all-pro at corner. You got 2 edge rushers that combined for over 10 sacks. They combined for 23 sacks and a ton of pressures. You got C.J. Gardner-Johnson on the back end now. You got a DB that was a rookie last year that had 5 interceptions. You had Kamari Lassiter, who showed his ass, in the Super Bowl. So I think that the defensive side of the ball is what is going to continue.
The heavy lifting, yeah.
They're going to do the heavy lifting of a lot of these rankings or how the Texans are perceived right now.
I mean, there's respect for Mixon. Obviously, he's coming off of dealing with a foot or whatever. But Nico, there's respect for him. I think your quarterback has a lot to do with it too. People clearly have a sense of respect for what CJ Stroud's been able to do, but it seems fair. Isn't that kind of what we were looking at him about middle of the pack? I
think the only team
they've been lower on some lists, huh?
You guys tell me if I'm crazy for this or not. The only team I look at there, I just got this feeling that Washington is that first year darling.
So you want to know
step
something?
Back coming in year 2. Am I wrong?
You want to know something? I was actually doing a podcast recently with some folks, UNC, a whole bunch of people, and people who cover the Commanders. And there is a weird Michael type feeling is that they didn't really do anything to enhance their roster. Obviously, they brought in Debo. I think they brought in Michael Gallup. They brought in a couple other guys.
Laremy Tunsil,
of course. But they did a lot of the heavy lifting from a free agency and draft standpoint last year. they didn't do a whole bunch to change their roster, and you would think like them bringing back the same guys and stuff would encourage people, but it sounds like there are some questions about whether they think that they caught lightning in a bottle last year or if this is something that's sustainable. I think that Cliff Kingsbury is a good play caller, so I'm curious. And obviously Joe Witt Jr. there is the DC talented guy. But that's the feeling. So you're not alone, Michael. I'm saying you're not alone in you thinking that the Commanders are weird. The other, we just talked about Denver too, y'all. That you looking at that team and it might be better than what people are thinking that it's gonna be. So I mean, those make sense. I thought the Texans, because of the offensive line, would be more like, 13 is fine, but I thought they would be like really like 15, 16. But they got boost, I guess. What you got, Stan?
Well, the first thing that jumped out to me with this list is
there you go.
These are people that don't, at least this particular report, they don't understand the current climate of the Houston Texans. Allow me to present Exhibit A. They have Juice Scruggs listed at right guard and Titus listed at right tackle. So that tells me right off the top, you aren't paying attention in this particular instance. Allow me to present Exhibit B. They still have Jimmy Ward listed as a starting safety.
Oh, no.
So, in principle, you take off Jimmy Ward, you plug in all-rookie Kalen Bullock, who was tied for the team lead in interceptions a year ago. That probably would take it up a smidge. And then you put Titus at right guard, takes it probably up a smidge, but then it probably comes back down if you're talking about Blake Fisher at right tackle. And wouldn't you know, there was a write-up here about Blake Fisher. It was under the category, it wasn't biggest weakness. Where is this at? Biggest strength, edge rusher. Biggest weakness, interior defensive line. I want to come back to that. Hey, Michael, X Factor for 2025. They
list my dog.
Let's go. Starter to know, Blake Fisher. So my point is 13 approximately where the Texans should be? I might ding them a little bit offensively until I see it from those rookies. I would probably bring them back a little bit, but I think the whole ranking is kind of some BS given they got 3 dudes out of position.
Yeah, they had a bit of a hard day.
Yeah,
the ESPNs, they had a bit of a hard day. The other team in Texas lit them up because they posted on their show today. They had a clip from last year, and it was Brandon Cooks. So they're having.
We gotta make a change. That's why people come to the Locked On Podcast Network.
Yeah, come see
your team every
You don't
day.
watch ESPN because ESPN does nothing but talk Lakers and Cowboys all day.
Yeah.
That's it.
I don't have an issue. Listen, this is about entertainment, and certain brands have a level of entertainment values about selling advertising space and making money. I used to be in business development for the NFL, understand it well. It is what it is. We all got bills to pay. I'm not tripping.
Happens. It happens.
What I am tripping about, what we were all tripping about, remember last year, John and MC, the conversation about the Texans were, Rankins and who was it? Rankins and the other D tackle went to San Fran.
Collins.
Malik Collins and Rankins.
No, Malik Collins and then Khalil Davis
Rankins.
was also. Rankins, Malik Collins, Khalil Davis, who, by the way, just retired. Shout out to KD.
So many people were saying specifically with Rankins and Collins, oh my God, the interior of this defensive line, what is he going to do? Fola Fatukasi got paid by the Jacksonville Jaguars, and then he never lived up to the contract. So y'all know how I feel when they're willing to deal you or allow you to land somewhere else in the division. The interior of this defensive line has been fine. Mario Edwards Jr. was excellent last year.
Tim Settle was a dog.
Tim Settle Jr. was a beast. Fola Fatukasi was fine. I'm not concerned, and this article lists the interior as the biggest weakness. I just don't see that the biggest weakness on this team. The biggest weakness on this team, to me, outside of the offensive line, which is obvious, I'm concerned about that wide receiver room, but y'all already know that.
But also, too,
LDL.
Go ahead.
No.
No. Are we? It doesn't seem like this defense, the interior of this defense, is being asked to do. I mean, they do some penetration stuff and stuff, but like when you got edges that work the way that yours do, you're asking these guys to take up space and to not get moved around off the ball. So it's like, is there not an understanding of what they're being asked to do? Is that why they think that? It's a problem, period. I'm not gonna get on my soapbox, but some defensive tackles are meant to sit there and take up space. Not everybody has to get upfield.
I think nationally, Aaron Donald changed the game for how we view D tackles. Players like Dexter Lawrence changed the game for how we view
Chris Jones.
Chris
Jones
and
is a
he's
big one.
gonna change
Jeffrey Simmons.
but I think in 2023 or 24 draft, we saw a good amount of D tackles taken in the first round between the first 40 picks, because these guys are some of the more freakish athletes because they can stop the run, get after the quarterback. They can play a lot of snaps. Sometimes they may be able to drop back in coverage or whatever. But for what the Houston Texans are adding of their D tackles, when you have, good point, Iisha, when you have you got Will on one side, you got Daniil on the other side, they're going to clean everything up to force it back on the inside. And a lot of times when you have some of these, real prominent pressure D tackles, they can get out of position a little bit searching for sacks. And when they get outside, there's a play to be made from an offensive perspective on the inside because they're not where they need to be in terms of assignment. So Will and Daniil is going to make their job easier, and they did in 2024, and Tim Settle 8. And it was a huge difference of how they was able to stop the run when Foley was on the field compared to when he was off. I think it was under 100 when he was on the field, 115 when he was on the field. Off the field, excuse me. So there's a big difference of what he's doing. And also, Danico is an inside-outside guy, and he's going to cause pressure and problems on the outside, of course, but he's also going to cause pressure and problems on the inside as well. So I don't think that nationally they know or consider what the Houston Texans and the defensive line coached by Roy Wright before. For guys to just do your job, and we got these two beasts on the outside that's going to create hell for opposing offense. I mean, all you got to do is just sit there and eat it up.
So Mike Clay was the contributor that authored the section on the defensive tackle piece, and he's hanging his hat on this Pro Football Focus grade. He says none of the D tackles currently on the roster had more than 31 tackles last year, nor did they have an above average Pro Football Focus grade.
What are your linebackers for? What are your linebackers for?
Fair point. And I think that's what D'Amico thinks. Like, look, man, you're not going to have all pros everywhere. You're not going to have Pro Bowlers everywhere. You're going to have, from a salary cap standpoint, you're going to have some average, and when the scouting community, we call them serviceable starters. You're going to have serviceable starters somewhere. And that's what those guys are. Foley, Rio, Tim Settle, like all of those guys can go start for a lot of other teams. Maybe not every team, but they're good enough. But that's why you bring in Aziz. That's why you have Christian Harris, who D'Amico said is arguably the most talented linebacker he's ever coached, including Fred Warner in San Francisco. Like, this is what came out of D'Amico's mouth. So, like, I think D'Amico's like, look, with that pass rush and those dudes back there in that secondary, I don't need the D tackles to be all world. Just be solid, be adequate, and we'll be fine. Yeah. And that has been the case up until this point.
I mean, that's a position that requires – that's a position that, like, to John's point, and I think it's a very fantastic point, is that the NFL is you in this weird place where a lot of people were using 3 techs to do a lot of stuff. So now I do think that there has been not a disvaluing of like the true like nose, but at the same time, people just kind of push them to the wayside. It's like they're never been meant to be a flashy position ever. They're supposed to slowly develop, and they're supposed to be there to clean up, and they're the dogs. They do a lot of the dirty work to keep your linebackers clean and let your edges be able to do what they want to do. So I just think it's
more people need to watch tape on Vince Wilfork.
But they don't know. A lot of people don't know what they're watching.
I mean, I'm
to that point, they need to go watch.
Just look for the fat guy standing in the middle.
So that's
gobbling up all the space.
So, for example, you can have Foley Fatukasi is the biggest D lineman they have over there, right? Yeah. They don't have anybody that looks like Foley. That's why one of the reasons I was very excited when they got him coming into the 24 season and was happy that they re-signed him for 2025, because you do need somebody to anchor. But like to your point, it's not about just how big you are, how strong you are in the weight room and what you weigh. Do you understand gap discipline? Can you keep your wide butt in said gap because you know you got a stunt coming behind you? Do you understand that, okay, I'm going to penetrate this way. Do I have the timing? Am I in sync with the rest of the D-line when we want to run a three-man game? When you want to run a TE or ET stunt, things of that nature. So it's a little bit more that goes into it than just be a big butt and just go down there. But like I said, it's not about the people that don't necessarily know what they're watching. It's if D'Amico is comfortable with it, then I'm comfortable with it from a defensive standpoint. And it has proven to not be an issue. Everybody thought it was going to be the biggest issue on the team last year. Everybody said it was going to be the interior of the defensive line. It wasn't an issue. Or at least
you got a nice rotation too. Well, I think also too is because you do have a nice rotation of guys, and that's a position to where you can't have depth there. You can't not have depth there. So I think and to mediate, like, okay, having like star guys, you haven't, like Stan said, you have enough serviceable guys to come in and to not be this crazy drop off. There be consistency with the way that you want to stop the run. So that's what I think from outside looking at.
Do y'all agree with this article? It says the biggest X factor is
Jaden Higgins.
He's big.
I do.
Is he the biggest, the largest?
He's going to be a
big extra plug.
He's going to be the most positive X factor on this team too. When he wins Rookie of the Year.
X factor on the team?
Yeah, when he wins Rookie of the Year, 1,200 yards.
That's so. This is how I feel, and I talked about
kidding.
it on
He's going to be a 1,000-yard receiver year one.
I talked about it on a recent episode of Locked On Texan podcast. They brought him in to be this team's undoubted number 2, and I will make the case for future number 1, right? If he does not have a good season, and I'm being realistic when I say between 750 yards to 800 yards, if he does not have that type of year, then I would say the offense was probably bad because they need for him to do that. There cannot be a huge drop-off between Nico and Christian Kirk. He has to be that middle guy that can bring that middle production to help this offense move forward. And I am looking forward to him being more so of a possession receiver this year to get comfortable in the NFL. But if he has a bad season, then this offense probably stinks.
I think that's fair. And that's going to be a problem for the Texans. I think that's where we can all agree.
Biggest weakness for me is Cam Robinson. If this Larry Tunsil doesn't play here anymore, if this left tackle is a problem and Ariante Ursary is not ready to go, you expose CJ Stroud to getting his head knocked off like it was in that Kansas City playoff game when he was sacked 8 times, and the last time we saw him, he was limping off the field. So Cam Robinson, who did not grade well, let me clarify and quantify how poorly Cam Robinson played a year ago for 2 different teams. He was rated a bottom 5 offensive tackle in the game of football. 5th worst, 3rd worst in certain categories. If he's not at least decent, then all of this bleep we're talking about goes out the window.
Yeah, CJ will be running for his life and being knocked down 50-plus times a season again, which is not a recipe for anything. I mean, look, in the division, you might be able to win because I was going to say real quick before we move on to our next thing, the other teams in the division that they had ranked, Titans were 28th, Colts were 25th, and Jags were 22. Nobody respects the division, and nobody expects, I think, anybody in the division.
It's the worst division in football.
Yeah, nobody's going to compete with the Texans, and the Texans could have a bad year by their standards at this point. Let's talk about bubble players early and as we start camp. We'll do that next year on the Locked On Texans Squad Show. FanDuel summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. You've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups, and the app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. It's easy to use, fast to pay out. It makes even regular season games feel like must-watch events. Whether you're placing a bet or on a same-game parlay or watching a bet ride in the 9th inning, FanDuel makes it feel like you're part of the action. New to FanDuel, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. Locked on Texans Squad Show here on a Tuesday. We've gotten into plenty of what we're looking ahead to as training camp is here, people. Finally, there's nothing better than getting the Texans out there in the heat and the humidity of Houston, Texas in late July, early August, and hearing the sounds of Clay Walker bursting out football time in Houston. Nothing gets me more jazzed than that. I don't know about you guys. Greatest song in the history of time. I'm sure it's going to be blared a lot out there at camp. They still play it out there? I've been to camp.
That could be debated. That could be debated between.
It's not debated. It's awful.
How many times are we going to hear it? He's performed it in the city like 30 times.
Please.
They've been doing it since 2002.
He has a residency.
Yeah.
He has a per year residency.
Wall and Thugger, get them boys over there and give us a real song, please.
He's got an NRG residency.
Yeah, that's what he
Hopefully
has.
when they move out of NRG into a new stadium, they leave Clay Walker there. Like, stay there, Clay. Just keep playing to nobody.
NRG makes me think about LRG. Swag. I'm sorry.
All right.
Ignore me.
That has to be a Cowboy.
Man, look, they need to get Lil Kiki.
Wall.
You know what? No, we don't.
They need to get Zero in there. A feature by Bun. They need to revamp some songs over there.
We don't. I think
y'all sound like the Cowboys fans with the Thunderstruck. Ooh, they be
you know, my favorite thing about being at the Texans Cowboys game last year was that they're still playing We Dem Boys. It's like 10 years. We Dem Boys. Like
Michael,
they were playing it the last time the Texans were there. Like that was like 10 years before. I was there when JJ Watt was chasing around Tony Romo and they're playing this stupid song.
The song was made for them. Like they're not
it's a terrible. It's it makes the Clay Walker song actually good.
They should host auditions. Did you mind
when they was playing the JJ Watt?
I thought it was
Turn Down for What?
Turn Down for What? With
it was awful.
They should host auditions for local talent. One day, maybe a 2-day audition, Friday and Saturday, for people to come out, sing the song, and each preseason they get an opportunity to sing whoever wins for the 3 preseason. And then the best one out of those 3 contestants kick it off week 1.
Hell, we saw Yolanda Adams at the rodeo. Yolanda, give us something. Give us something contemporary.
Stan.
Yeah. Beyonce. She's from here.
Stan.
Open my
I'm trying to get something other than this.
That's a holy woman right there.
Alone in a room. It's football, me and you.
I'm gonna go into worship, John. I'm going.
So I need to talk to Cal.
I knew it.
And ask him for some tickets.
What is this? The Church of Easterby's come back to us?
No, he wouldn't be allowed in that.
Mike, you would mess up a moment. You went from Yolanda to Jack Easterby. My energy is off. You done messed up the whole vibe.
Oh, yes.
Jack would not be invited into that church.
In this situation.
We got a holy quarterback. He
is holy. I was watching him last night or the other night. He was on the news, talking about giving for other people. He and his mom up there was really great. They were doing stuff for the kids and giving out backpacks.
CJ doing Bible study. I mean, we got a whole thing going.
Have you seen Drewski's skit with the?
Well, the Texans are God's team. Let's just say that they've been God's team for a long time.
You know what? He favors them because he hasn't let that other team in Texas win anything since 2002. So
we gotta keep it above.
Hey, I feel like I'm
for a team. There are 12 teams that have never played in the Super Bowl, and the team we're discussing now is one of them.
That's okay.
You gotta be careful with your shot.
They're still in their infancy. They're barely walking, Stan. They're barely walking at this
point. They're old enough to drink. They'll be fine. You can handle the criticism.
They got a few years that didn't count. The Easterby era and the Dom Capers era. Those years don't count. They don't count at all.
Who's on the bubble, Michael?
Who's on the bubble? Let's talk bubble players going into camp. Camp is here. We're going to get a lot of this. You're going to start.
Judas.
just go. Who's your early bubble player you're watching?
Mechie. I mean,
he's on there.
They loved him, traded up for him. Unfortunately, his first year went how that went. Second year, he had to get his, feet back under him. But last year, the one thing I can't say is the opportunities came to Mechie last year. I was surprised at the amount of drops that Mechie had throughout the year when he got those opportunities. He was a part of the reason why that Minnesota game just got out of hand so early. So for me, it's Mechie. Like, if I look at talent based off of what we saw from a player coming out of college, for a wide receiver 5, it's Mechie. But will he get it? Do they view Hutchinson a different way now that Nick Caley's in the building? Do they want to go with a surefire vet that has NFL experience, more NFL experience over Mechie? But that wide receiver 5 position, some people may overlook that. I'm not, because when it all broke down last year, 3, 4, and 5, specifically 4 and 5, they were not able to step up for Houston consistently. Is Mechie the guy? If not, do they look to trade him? Do they just move on from him, allow for him to go pick his own team? I'm not sure, but he's on a bubble for me. And I like John Mechie a lot.
Jeez.
I like Mech. He's going to be on everybody's bubble list. I like Mech. And Hutch is on the bubble too. Now, I have Hutch making the team, and I have Mechie making the team. I think this Watson.
They're carrying 6?
Yeah, DJ Bieniemy of ESPN has Mechie and Hutchinson making the team like you, Stan.
So the Texans carried 7 wide receivers last year. Okay. I've got them carrying 7 again. I think Justin Watson is out and Braxton Berrios makes it instead of Watson because he can return. I think Jared Wayne is out.
Practice squad, probably. Yeah.
A gentleman that I think, just because of the conversation we've had about Dalton Schultz, obviously Brevin Jordan is someone that it sounds like the team, you guys have been waiting to kind of take the next step. And then obviously Kate Stover is someone we've heard a lot about in the offseason. I would assume they only going to run with 3 tight ends, yeah?
They ran with 3 last year.
Yeah, so Luke over there might be the odd man out, not because he's not talented, just because of the numbers.
Lachey might have to go to practice squad, and so really it's between Stover's going to make the team.
Right. No,
so Schultz and Stover are 2 of your 3. So the competition is it Irv Smith Jr., who played in 5 games last year, starting 1 before he got nicked up, or is it going to be Brevin Jordan, who was part of Nick Caserio's first draft class, along with Nico Collins, Davis Mills, and others? Damian Pierce, I think, was in that group.
Yeah.
So it's like
Pierce was in the 22 class.
Pierce is the year before. All right. So it's Mills, Nico, and then you got Brevin Jordan in that class. Is Brevin Jordan or Irv Smith Jr. for that 3rd tight end spot?
And who's and of those, those 2 options, who's going to do the dirty work the best?
That's what matters.
I do think Brevin Jordan is, because they signed him to an extension after he got hurt last year. Nick Caserio has done that before. He will allow for a player to, recover from injury and come back and compete. He has a good heart. Brevin is a guy that I think is by far the best blocker in that unit. By far the more athletic, superior athletic talent in that group as well. But he has not been able to put it all together for one season consistently. I'm a huge fan of BJ. He's his energy is infectious when he's in the room. You can feed off of it. That's a player that the Houston Texans will need in some cases. But when it gets down to who that 3rd player is going to be in that room, it is down to Brevin Jordan and Irv Smith. And that isn't a competition I'm keeping my eye on as well.
Now,
I think he's a bubble candidate.
Remember, Irv Smith is a former 2nd-round pick. He has been a journeyman, mostly due to health. But quite frankly, he got more run in 24 than Brevin did. But again, injuries played a part of both. The only thing, and I agree with you, John, if I had to lean one direction or the other right now between Irv Smith Jr. and Brevin, I'm going to lean Brevin. Go for one reason in terms of the deciding factor. Show me one day 1 or day 2 pick that Nick Caserio has moved on from since he's been the GM, other than the 15th overall pick, Kenyon Green. Other than Kenyon, those day 1 and day 2 guys, he keeps them. Yeah, that's why Mechie's still on the roster.
Yeah,
I mean that's normal too, though. No.
And there's been another guy that's been kept around too that we haven't talked. I know we've talked about in the past, but I don't think Damian Pierce making the team.
I was waiting for somebody to mention him.
And I think they're going to keep Ogunbowale as the 4th. You know why? In part, and it sounds nuts to say, but we saw it a few years ago when Fairbairn went down because he can kick field goals. And I'm being dead serious.
If that's the only reason why you keep a player,
not the only reason, but I think it's in part. I think it's in part. The emergency comes up.
Yeah.
I think they keep all 5. Last year, Texas kept 5 running backs, including a fullback. We'll talk about Jakob Johnson, who him and British Brooks talking about who's on the bubble to be the fullback of this team. British Brooks, who had won the job. British Brooks made the 53 coming out of camp as a rookie out of the University of North Carolina a year ago. He got dinged up. I think he tore his ACL. I think he had a knee issue, so he was done for the year. Now he's back. Sounds like he's had a good offseason, but then they bring in Jakob Johnson. I think they keep all 5, and that's why you got to pay attention, not you all per se, but just in general, the rules with the practice squad. Remember a couple years ago, coming out of COVID, they allowed you to stash veterans on the practice squad. There's a special designation for veterans, and you can call them up and push them back down, deactivate them as you see fit. I think the plan could be we're going to keep, obviously, Mixon and Chubb. DP makes the team, and Woody makes the team, because if they put Woody on the practice squad, somebody's likely going to come grab him. But if you put Dare as a veteran on the practice squad, then maybe you can call Dare up as need be.
Good point. Didn't think of that. Did not think of that. Good point.
So I think
they're kind of that's like a part. That's a part of this whole thing is how they finagle. I mean, you even see teams like you talking about stash guys. They be like, "Hey, yo, you said your toe hurt." What is it? Oh, okay. And it's a game within that thing and stuff like that. So I'm cool with however.
As Joe Mixon is coming back from that ankle injury, and I think he had an ankle, and then he had something else. He was working out in the offseason and had something happen to his foot. May have been that same ankle. Maybe, and I hope this is not the case. No, I don't want to say that. I was going to say you could put Joe Mixon on the pup and start the year and then bring him back, but he may not need that. So scratch that. It was just an idea that popped in my head, because you're going to see that. Whether it's tonight or tomorrow before they take the practice field, the team has to designate who's on the non-football injury list, who's on the physically unable to perform list, but then able to return. And then you have the other designation. What am I missing? Oh, who's just going to be on flat-out injury reserve? Like Braxton Berrios, we hadn't seen him. Is he just going to be on IR? I don't know. So we'll get those designations coming out shortly.
So is there any other bubble spots that we're watching before we?
I have one.
Okay, go ahead, Stan.
This Darrell Taylor at defensive end coming over from Chicago.
His
20 sacks over the last 4 seasons. Darrell Taylor versus who did I just say? Why can I never say his name?
Barnett.
Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Derek Barnett.
Derek Barnett, Darrell Taylor, and don't forget Dylan Horton. That was, he had cancer through a 24 season. They drafted him in 23, I do believe. And so he comes back. And what does that look like for him in 2025? Dylan Horton, Darrell Taylor, and who is it, John?
Derek
Barnett.
Derek Barnett and D'Amico. D'Amico
Autry's on this team, period.
We'll see.
Wait, what?
I was about to say, whoa.
We'll see.
I agree with Stan.
There's uncertainty about that.
D'Amico Autry's on this team.
I'm just. Hey, listen, man. I'm just saying, man.
He's making good money too.
When the general manager goes on the flagship and says, what did he say? He said that is one tough SOB, or he's a badass, or something like that. The way Caserio spoke glowingly about D'Amico Autry, if he doesn't get suspended for 6 games last year, and he did get nicked up himself, I think he comes in, he's fine. Now, I love what Derek Barnett has given his team as a reserve, but they brought Darrell Taylor in for something other than situational pass rushing and special teams.
I agree.
I think he could take Dylan Horton's spot.
And Dylan, I hate to say this, man, but because I think John Mechie benefited just a little bit from it, but he also was a second-round pick that Houston traded up for, and they needed a wide receiver. But Dillon is in a period right now for the Houston Texans where they can't afford to wait. And I think that maybe they've waited longer than it's kind of touchy. But because of Darren Taylor, because he has proven experience at the NFL level, it's kind of easier to move on from Dillon. They're going to give Dillon a shot, I believe, in preseason. Like when we get to the third preseason game, I'm sure we'll probably see Dillon out there a lot. And maybe Taylor as well for a little bit. But I think right now it's easier to say, thank you, Dillon. You were a late-round pick. We're going to release you and let you go find a team that suits you better than what we have going on right now because they can't afford to wait.
Yeah, I agree. I'm also, lastly for me, Iisha, unless you have something, the Texans kept 9 DBs last year. The 5 are pretty obvious, but when you start getting on the back end of this thing, Jalen Reed, the 6th-round pick this year out of Penn State at safety, MJ Stewart, Tremont Smith, who comes over from the LA Chargers in free agency, Miles Bryant. Is he going to be a guy that has he's one of those New England guys, and they apparently love them dudes that was up in New England. So he's a guy that spent a lot of time in 2023 in New England at that slot corner position. Does he give you some depth there behind Stingley? Hell, they signed somebody today, Arthur Marlette, however you pronounce it. He comes over having played in Baltimore the last 2 years. We know they signed Damon Arnett. That I would say 7, 8, 9 in the Texans secondary is touchy. Do they want more safety types? Does D'Amico want more nickel types? Or does D'Amico want more true outside corner types? And then, of course, special teams has got to be a part of this as well. So I have MJ Stewart making this team, especially given that I think Jimmy Ward is done in a Houston Texans uniform, unfortunately.
Hey guys, party. Anybody else got anything else that they're watching out for before we get to the party?
Well, how y'all think the secondary play out? I can't just say all that.
No, I agree. I think right now, man, they like you mentioned, they brought over the Arthur Malek kid. I'm sorry, young man. They also, Damon Arnett for Houston. I'm kind of like, how do y'all feel about that outside corner?
Well, I mean,
Marlette is a
slot.
nickel.
He's a slot. That's what he's played. Arnett can't really go based off of anything. Yeah, Iisha. Tua, what you got?
Sorry. Stop. No, I was gonna ask. I know you guys. I've heard you guys speak about Miles Bryant and how he stepped in last year, if I'm not mistaken. Is he, because you brought in? This is a gentleman. Does he play some nickel? Yes.
Yeah, that's
where he thrived at the moment.
So for someone like him who thrived there, and you bring in an Mollett, is Miles Bryant
and Jalen Petrie already in that room?
And Petrie's already there, and then you have Jalen Smith after that. Like is that room already too crowded? Was he just like he helped last year, but this is not someone we see important moving forward to what we want to do? I think Miles Bryant, given how y'all spoken about him, is someone that could be. We need to be looking out for him.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if they're gonna flirt with the USC kid outside a little bit.
Say that again.
I kind of wonder if they're gonna flirt with the idea of moving the USC kid outside.
Jalen Smith, putting him outside.
Yes, putting him outside, getting him some reps outside. I mean, he's not gonna start, right? He'll be a depth piece. I'm sure they'll find a way to get him on the field, but Petrie is for sure the nickel. Like, there's no doubt about that. Miles Bryant is a experienced nickel cornerback in the NFL who can make plays. And I think he shows some value to this point for the Texans based off last year. So Marlette, I'm not sure he may not make the team, special teams maybe, but I would try to keep Miles Bryant.
Tremont. So I have Miles Bryant making the team.
I do as well.
That's what I thought. But when you start looking at the acquisition of Millette and Petrie manning that spot and stuff, you start asking yourself, like, is there going to be enough room or whatever the case may be? And also, too, this is a new regime. Do they value him the way that the other regime does? Obviously, D'Amico's at the head, of everything. But still, I'm going to keep my eye on him because I also think nickel corner is not easy to come by. And if they don't keep him, where he lands. Because, I'm sure that there's people looking for a nickel corner that can play. All right.
I'm gonna say it again. Jimmy Ward is still on this roster. What the NFL has not made any designation as of yet, nor has the team. So Jimmy Ward is another domino in this whole thing that impacts the numbers. So right now, I've got Jimmy Ward out. I've got Damon Arnett out. I've got Arthur Marlette out. Tremont Smith, MJ Stewart, Miles Bryant. Oh, Jalen Reed, the 6th round pick out of Penn State at safety. I have him out.
Not making the team?
Not making the team. He'll be on the P squad.
P squad. Okay.
Yeah. Because I think, like, look at the scenario you in at safety. You got CJ Gardner-Johnson and you got Bullock. Okay, if one of them goes down, then MJ Stewart has the experience to come in. But then who's backing them up?
Do you want a vet or do you want a young guy?
There you go. I don't want to have Bullock and Jalen Reed standing beside each other back there when it's December and we're trying to make sure we lock up this division and you got, playoff seeding on the line. That makes me nervous. So I'm going to err on the side of veterans.
Well, I mean, that makes sense. They're in a window where they need guys that has that experience. So I'm not mad at that, but I am looking forward to seeing Reed compete, especially with Jimmy Ward being, a question mark. I like that young man.
Aaron Wilson did say in that thing today that, the NFL is just monitoring the situation. They're going to let it play out, it sounds like, until something happens before the NFL suspends them.
And will the Texans with Jimmy Ward, like his value, again, because Jimmy Ward wouldn't start. That'll go to CJ and that'll go to CJ Gardner-Johnson and that'll go to Caleb Bullock. So is D'Amico saying, you know what? I hate what happened. We're going to quietly stay and support you through the pending suspension. And then there's Jimmy Ward a bit more fresh for a late season run. Now, if something happens to CJ, GJ, or something goes on with Bullock, now you got a guy that you trust that's still in spot start duty can give you something. I'll be very fascinated to see, and I am very fascinated to see what the Texans allowed to do with that situation.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I think if he was going to be gone, he would have been gone already. That's just my thing. He was easy to cut when that came up. Yeah, and he's not. So I'm guessing I'm going to guess he makes it.
With this, we're out of time. I'm sorry. I'm back up here at this Juice Scruggs conversation.
Yeah, one of them guys ain't gonna make their team.
Somebody gonna get traded.
Between him and Patterson.
Between Scruggs and Patterson, somebody
ain't making a team.
Yeah, I think the converse. This is the first thing that came to my mind when y'all when we first started doing the show. We started talking about kind of some of the lineups, and y'all was like, "Why is the person that we think is a starter not starting?" I immediately thought that it was maybe something that has to do with him having trade value or something as the training camp goes on, if you need to fill a spot or whatever the case may be, or at the beginning of the season, because I know it changes kind of the money. So I was kind of thinking that from the start because it didn't make sense to me. You put the better player on the field, no?
But the thing that keeps me from trading, Scruggs is what Caserio gave up to go get him. Caserio just has not moved on from his early picks, other than Kenyon Green, which just gave him no choice. They gave Kenyon Green 11 lives to prove that he could get it done, and it wasn't there. So anyway, just something to be monitoring the situation as they go out there, practice 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Pads go on Saturday, I think.
9 a.m. tomorrow morning, out there on the field. Woo! All right, well.
Y'all ain't ready, man. Y'all ain't ready. Y'all ain't ready for no football.
Oh, we're ready. What are you talking about? We're ready.
Y'all ain't ready.
I'm ready. I'm tired of watching. I need something happy in my life because I'm watching a baseball team right now that's playing with a bunch of minor league players because their entire roster's hurt. I don't need that juju for the Texans though this season. That's what I don't need. I need one team in Houston to stay healthy, and I need the Texans to be that team. How about that? That's my parting shot. John, what's your parting shot today?
Man, I'm just ready. I mean, right now I'm that guy at the party that want to get it going. Let's turn up, man. Y'all done a lot of drinking of your water. You ate enough food. Break out the bottles. And for the Texans, break out the Gatorade bottles. They got some very good water at the NRG Stadium. Come in that can. I know y'all know what I'm talking about. Oh, that water is good. I'm ready to take a sip of that water. I'm ready to be in some Texan Houston heat. And I'm ready to watch this team start their process and journey of being the best version of themselves to get ready for playoff football, which we all expect for them to be. But hopefully this year they get over the hump, get to an AFC championship game. I am ready for some football.
Yeah, I'm excited too. We know obviously how important health is during this time. So really just hoping for a healthy camp and progression. But for me, I know a lot of people don't care about the first install period and then like everybody care about when the pads come on. I think every single time they touch the field, it's important. There's information we can take from it.
Yep.
So I'm excited to start getting the information pushed and then you gentlemen being down there and being able to report for us so we have some accurate stuff to go on. This is where it starts for real. The tone that you set here does matter. So I want to see what their energy is like. And it's football time. I can almost hear the sounds and cookies and jalapeno poppers and stuff.
I think a week from Saturday, we get the Hall of Fame game.
I'm
Yes.
excited.
Will you watch it?
For sure.
Probably.
The first quarter.
For sure.
We're sickos.
First
We're
quarter.
football sickos. We're gonna watch.
I'm a
it.
sicko
First
too,
quarter.
but that's the one game I refuse to watch.
Yeah,
I
I'm
can't
watching
stand
that.
that game.
It is it the Chargers in Detroit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Third string versus third string. Here it comes.
You gotta love it.
Let's
They
go,
should
y'all.
put Quentin. They
Yeah,
should
go
put
to
Quentin
Bob.
Johnson out there.
So my parting shot, I saw this graphic, and it's a CBSSports.com graphic, but it quantifies and elocutes modern football. Points scored over the last 5 seasons in the NFL. Buffalo, number 1. Dallas, number 2. Baltimore, KC, Detroit, Green Bay, Tampa, Philly. That's from 1 to whatever that is. 2, 4, 6, 8, from 1 to 10, I guess. From the bottom, Giants, the worst, followed by the Jets, followed by the Panthers, followed by the Jags, the Patriots, the Bears, and then the Texans. The bottom line is the key to getting the Texans in the title game, CJ Stroud, Nico Collins, a top 10 wide receiver in this league, Christian Kirk, a top 20 highest paid wide receiver in this league, and 2 rookies. Dalton Schultz regress. Joe Mixon, thank you, God, that you chose Houston. Y'all got to score some points.
Yep.
There's no way to getting around. You better score. And the statistics tell you that. Over the last 5 years, everybody except Dallas has played in a conference championship game and or a Super Bowl.
And I don't want no field goals.
Unless they're 50-yard bombs from Kyrie Fairbairn and he's setting more records.
To walk it
No,
off.
not really. I don't want those either.
All right.
I don't want them.
Yeah. Score
All right.
points. You got to score points in this league.
Score points and start scoring them tomorrow at 9 a.m. when they're out there on the field. Thank you for joining us tonight for the Locked On Texans Squad Show. Don't forget to join us again on Friday for the end of the week where we look back on what has happened in the early portions of camp. You all have a great rest of your Tuesday night. We'll talk to you Friday.